Valve has just dropped what I consider to be a pretty important update. However, the rest of the community doesn't really feel the same way. The majority of fans view it as yet another disappointing update that mostly introduces more items for us to buy. And while it is that, if you look past the community work, there are some actual interesting and important changes. Is it enough to let Valve off the hook? Let's talk about it. So the update that dropped on October 1st includes 4 new community maps. Palacio, a Portuguese historical site, and Golden, a coastal mining facility, which are both standard diffuse maps. Well, as standard as they can be.
Wait, yo, what's got your ass?
Then there's 2 wingman maps. Transit, a Vietnamese market with an actual tram running through it, and Rooftop, a map on a roof. All in all, I do actually like when community maps get added, even if that's all it is. I know that it's not cash, but they're still new experiences. Honestly, I think that Valve should be just rotating them in and out every week or so that there's always something fresh to try. It's not like these maps are meant to be competitively viable, so why not just keep promoting the cool shit the people in this community make, right? Well, a little more on that later. The next 2 highlighted offerings in this update are community-made stickers and now charms. Most of the stickers are cool, a few are just okay, but overall, they're fine. But some people, for some reason, seem to fucking hate them, and I legit don't see a problem with any of them. But I'm betting it might have nothing to do with the stickers at all. It could just be frustration with the existence of these stickers in the first place. Maybe some fans view adding memes to the game at a time like this is misplaced priority for Valve. But those new charms though. Look, I've never really been a charm guy in my life, but I'll admit the liquid effect on that Butane Buddy HE charm is pretty cool. Also, I would 100% rock the 8-ball.
Shake the gun? How do I do that? Nah, bro, it doesn't do nothing, bro. What?
Now to the actual important stuff, because we did get actual gameplay changes that are worth mentioning. First off, dying to the bomb now counts as an actual death. Finally, it's a small change, but for those who care about their stats, it could be a big deal. It will be interesting to see in a little while if this actually changes the way people play in terms of post plants. Now, more interestingly, Valve made some new changes to sniper scopes. According to the patch notes, they, quote, fixed incorrect pixel offset for greater than 1 pixel width sniper scope. To me, it sounds like the scopes may have not been perfectly centered before, maybe slightly off, but if I'm wrong, let me know. However, they also added something called inaccuracy representation to the sniper scopes as well, and you can immediately notice it in-game. The intersecting point of the crosshair is now thinner, and there's now a faint translucent circle that appears there. It seems that the goal is to better show when your sniper is fully accurate, since that doesn't happen the instant you scope in. A lot of people online seem to absolutely hate this change, and yeah, you can toggle it off if you want, but me personally, I actually really like it. Maybe it's placebo, but I feel like it's genuinely helping my timing, but it's hard to say. Either way, I also found the thinner lines in the center make it easier to see enemies at long distances. Love it or hate it though, the option's there for you. And I think that's a win, since the whole point is to give players a more accurate feel for how the game plays. Now, Valve has also added a new spectating feature that currently only works on certain maps. And I say works very loosely. Instead of just instantly blinking to the next player when spectating, the camera now travels through the map along what they call the shortest path. It's a neat idea in theory, but in practice, it's jank, and honestly probably nausea-inducing for some players out there. But then, in a hotfix the very next day, Valve also added a cinematic letterbox to those transitions, which just makes it feel like a troll now. Listen, I'm sure this feature has a bigger purpose, and I do appreciate Valve experimenting with stuff like this, but come on. This needs more time in the oven. I say this with love and respect to the people that work on this game, but I feel like I'm losing my mind because sometimes it feels like these updates are made by AI, released completely untested, and then a human steps in afterwards to fix it. Anyway, aside from that, there were also a ton of scripting improvements once again in this update. It's a long list of stuff that probably doesn't mean anything to like 99% of the player base, but from what I've heard, it's more tools and features for map makers and people that are building custom experiences in this game. And if you know me, you know that I think this is massive. Honestly, it might be the most important thing being worked on in the game right now, at least when it comes to the long-term future of what Counter-Strike 2 is going to offer us. You can already see some of the wild stuff the community has been creating since these improvements, and if Valve keeps going in this direction, it's only going to get better. So yeah, all in all, I personally think it was an important update. But if you looked online, you might think the opposite, because in terms of raw content, it was just charms and stickers and more maps not made by Valve, which rubbed a lot of fans the wrong way, and I do get it. The game's been out for 2 years now, which in the grand scheme of Counter-Strike isn't that long, but it really feels like most of these updates, especially the ones we've gotten over the last year, have just been community-made maps and more ways for Valve to sell us stuff. And considering this update dropped the week after CS2's second birthday, a lot of players were hoping for something more. What that more is depends on who you ask. Some people want a real transparent update on anti-cheat, even though it does seem to be improving quietly behind the scenes. Others are still holding out hope for 128 tick servers, the return of cash, or an operation. There are a lot of expectations floating around, and instead we got more of the same, and people are starting to get fed up. Now, I don't think this is going to cause a massive player drop-off because, let's be real, there's no other Counter-Strike out there. But I do think Valve is starting to test the patience of its player base. That being said, I'll be a little self-critical here, which I have seen others do. It's not lost on me that from the outside looking in, we kind of sound unhinged. We're asking Valve to both fix the game and deliver substantial content at the same time. And honestly, that might not be a realistic ask, or at least it might not be a smart one to have both happening at once. Yes, Valve is a billion-dollar company. Yes, they should be able to juggle multiple things at once, and clearly they can, since they're still finding time to push out new cosmetics right on schedule. But let's be real, half the time they fix something, they break something else. And half the community maps that get added each time are bugged to hell. So maybe, just maybe, less is more for now. And honestly, this update made sniping feel better for me. Maybe it's just a honeymoon phase, maybe I'll change my mind next week, but if that's all I got out of it, I'm fine with that. And if the first 2 and a bit years of CS2 are filled with updates like this one, I can live with that too. Yes, it's pretty wild that 90% of the new content we get is just more cosmetics, but I don't know. Maybe all the other stuff in the updates are building towards something even bigger. Maybe Valve has been focusing on these scripting changes, not just to deliver on what they promised in those early trailers, but because they're actually planning something meaningful, something new, whether it's made by them, the community, or both. It's hard not to be just a little bit optimistic when you look at how far CSGO came. That said, the industry is very different than it was 10 years ago, so we should probably temper our expectations just a bit. A lot of people in the comments were like, all right, relax, like, because they were pointing at like, well, this was a sticker made by someone in the community, so it's like, what do you say f me for?
Yeah.
Like, he's like, okay, I get that you're mad that it's just more cosmetics, but like, what did I do?